Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, let's talk about what's going on with the strategy of the GOP as they try to put Vice President Kamala Harris at the center of their attacks on the Biden-Harris administration. I'm going to share with you the latest about that. Also, can we talk a little bit about, get a little bit into what has been happening around Jamie Foxx and that tweet and that post that he made on Instagram where he was compelled to apologize to the Jewish community. We'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, we got our Reclaim Your Wellness segment with Dr. Bridget, MD, this week. So, folks, we got a lot to talk about. Stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about, so let's jump right into it. First and foremost, happy Monday. If you're just tuning into the culture, welcome to the show. This show is very special, very unique, that as we have these discussions, we want you to join us and be a part of the conversations just as well. So as we're streaming right now on blackstarnetwork.com, and also we're streaming on Amazon News right there on your Roku TV. We are also streaming on social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube. And this is where you can join us in the conversation as we have some great discussions lined up for you today. But you can jump on our social media platform on Facebook. But right now we're streaming on YouTube. Just go under Roland Martin on YouTube as we're streaming live right now. And you can join the chat, folks. Yes, you can. You got a lot to say about the discussions and what's going on at home and abroad and around the world and everything that's happening with the culture. You can join us right now by jumping on our YouTube stream. Again, just go under Roland Martin, go to our YouTube page under Roland Martin, and then boom, you can jump into the conversation and be a part of today's culture crew. Big shout out to the crew right now that's already convening. Yeah, there we go. I see y'all. My man, Pastor Damon Blissett, who's pastor of the Block Church. If you don't know, you will know who Pastor Damon Blissett is. But Pastor, good to connect with you. There you go. I see Cora Scott. Cora, thank you so much for checking in. Hi, Cora. Deidre. Hi, hey, Deidre. Good to see you. Deidre Hall checking in. My sister, I got my sisters in here. Pauline, good to connect with you. Always a pleasure to have an opportunity to reconnect with you. Cindy D, I see you. Hello, Cindy. It's good to connect with you. Hey, Tiana. How are you? Jawan, Yvette, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you as well, sis. Thank you so much for checking in. Mocha Mima Media. Mocha, she said folding chairs for everyone. Mocha Mima Media. There we go. And Texture Tech, welcome to the culture crew here on the culture. So many of you are checking in right now. Oh, my sister, I can't forget her. Lana, always talking about what's going on with our people. She got a passion and a spirit like no other. So Lana, you know, I always appreciate you, Queen. So thank you so much for joining us. All right, folks, make sure y'all get ready to hop on discussions as we have some big conversations lined up for you this afternoon. First and foremost, let's talk about what's going on politically as we're talking about Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, you know, she's been in the news a lot lately, and this is not by coincidence, folks. It's really by design that now you're starting to see the Vice President more vocal, more out front of the issues, especially when it comes to issues of women's rights issues, and she's getting a little bit more out there around the race conversation, folks. The race conversation is heating up, especially as what we've been seeing with her remarks about what's going on in Florida and some other issues. But look, here's what the latest is from the GOP. And I saw this on CNN. And I thought to myself, I said, man, oh man, what is the strategy they're going to use to try to knock President Biden, who may not be polling well, His approval numbers aren't that strong, but he's getting some things done. And in the eyes of the Republican, they're going to try to discredit him, whether it's personally from their attacks on his son, Hunter Biden, and that whole controversy, or they're going to attack him on his age, which we have talked about tremendously, attack him on his mental health and wellness. Is he going senile, and folks are wondering, can he really handle the job for the next 4 years? And so they come up with this other strategy, which is taking some steam, where some of your top Republican presidential candidates, Chris Christie, Nikki Haley, just to name a couple of them, are now taking their swipes at Vice President Kamala Harris. And now, not only are they taking swipes and talking about the agenda, but they're throwing it out there. They're throwing it out there, folks, that Vice President Kamala Harris may become President Kamala Harris if Biden is given another 4 years. And the reason for this is because they're saying that Biden's health will not allow him to get through another 4 years of service to the country. So now they're keying in on Vice President Kamala Harris. Here's what the CNN reported when taking a look at this post. This says that the prospect of Harris becoming president, now this is from a top Republican strategist who advising Chris Christie's presidential campaign, Mr. Mike Duham. He said the prospect of Harris becoming president is really the core reason Republicans are making these attacks. He said most white VPs are not popular with the other party. Dick Cheney wasn't popular with Democrats. Al Gore wasn't popular with Republicans. So it's not like anything new that she's unpopular with the opposing party. He said this, what's new is that people think there's a more legitimate chance of her actually ascending to the presidency than previous vice presidents and anyone that I can remember. So they're looking at that situation. The attacks are also coming as both the president and vice president deal with low approval numbers. According to a recent CNN SSRS poll from July, they found that Kamala Harris's approving numbers underwater, with 57% disapproving of her, while 42% approving of her. The same poll found President Biden's own approval numbers in almost the exact same place, 55% disapproved and 44% approved. Why? So, folks, I want to talk a little bit. This is a picture of Kamala Harris. Let's talk a little bit about this and what we're seeing, how there's a new strategy GOP is looking to employ, which is to attack President Biden through his vice president and giving the people, you and me, giving folks, other voters who are planning to go to the polls, giving them a little blip saying, look, she's going to become the president. This president will not be able to complete his 4 years because of his health and well-being. She's going to become the president. And they're asking, do you want Kamala Harris to be the next president of the United States? Interesting strategy, to say the least. Look, I got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, I want to get your take on this, crew. What do you think of this strategy? Do you think this is going to be effective? How does this thing play out, especially as we're looking at all of the other things that are facing Black America? What do you think of this strategy? Do you think it's going to work for Black folks? Do you think it's going to work for new voters, next generation voters? What's your take? I want you to join me in the conversation. Post your comments, share your questions and your thoughts on our YouTube page under Roland Martin, and stay with us. We got a lot to cover here on this first hour of The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is it.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We've been talking about a new GOP strategy that the Republicans are looking to employ as they're starting to, really have the conversation about who should be the next president of the United States. Many Republican presidential candidates are now looking to try to shine the spotlight, not necessarily on President Biden directly, but on his vice president, Kamala Harris, and putting it out there that if you place a vote for President Biden, given his age, given his mental wellness and all of those things, and what some people would say that he's kind of too old for office, that you're essentially placing a vote for Vice President Kamala Harris, who will become, as they're pointing out, she will be the next president of the United States at some point, barring that President Biden can't complete his full term if he's elected to a second term. It's a lot of conditions in that statement, right? So I'm wondering, is this a good strategy? Do you think that this strategy is going to be effective in either stopping people from coming out to vote, changing this conversation about whether the Democrats have what it takes to win the next election? What is your take on this, crew? I want to get your thoughts on this. Post your comments on our YouTube page under Roland Martin. We're streaming live right there. We're streaming live on Facebook, so you can post your comments there. And let's have the conversation that, do you believe that a vote for President Biden is a vote for President Harris? All right, let me go to what y'all got to say on this. Marlo Harris, thank you, Marlo, for checking in. You're going to kick us off this afternoon. You said, I think that if Kamala Harris becomes president of the United States, it will be good for the black people and any color person. All right, so you think it's a good thing. All right, Marlo, I appreciate you for checking in. It would be interesting if she becomes that. But let me just say, I think that the Biden team, they understand the seriousness of this situation. I don't think anybody is going to act as if this situation doesn't exist. I think that people are going to, I think they're having a number of conversations about what ifs. What if Joe Biden can't get through the campaign trail? What if? Does she step up? They got to have a contingency plan. You can't just put your vice president out there and considering how things are with the president, you got to have a contingency plan. You got to have your contingency plan. And maybe that is part of the reason why we're starting to see her a little bit more out there. They kind of just want to test the waters, see how she polls in certain things on certain issues, how she comes across to the American people, how she connects to Black folks in this country, especially when it comes to these issues. So I think there is a lot of discussion about this, a lot of discussion. Confetti, you checked and you said, I don't want a name call, but if anyone votes Democrat after how bad they have governed our country so far, I really have to question your intelligence. Okay, Confetti. All right. So you're saying that the Democrats have not governed the country so far. Here's my pushback on that, though, Confetti. Here's the pushback. The Republicans, have they shown that they have the best moral sensibility? Have they shown that they have the best, that their judgment can be trusted? If we're seeing this is the same party. Now let's I'm just throwing this out there in case you may have forgotten. This is the same party that is still propped up of 3-time indicted, 2-time impeached man who has committed fraud in his business affairs candidate. They still propping him up. They're still saying he is the leading GOP candidate for president of the United States. So I hear you what you're on the Democrats, but what about the Republicans? What about the GOP? Is this the party that's going to rebuke Donald Trump? This is the party that's going to talk conservative values and the importance of law and order, but then this is also the party that cannot come to face, or they are afraid of one candidate. That's the question. That's something that I'm going to pose to you. All right, let's go back. Cindy, you said tell it like it is, Farajii. I'm just saying, we just got to call a spade, right? I mean, we can't act like, now look, no party is perfect. Y'all know that. I know that. We know that. No party is perfect, folks. But you do have to look at certain things, though. Would you rather have a candidate to come out of the Democratic Party, or would you rather have a candidate that comes out the Republican Party, given where the party stands on the issues? And most importantly, given where the party stands on Black America issues. Because we like to lump ourselves into the picture. Y'all know how we do. We like to lump ourselves in the picture. We like to say, oh, no, they're the party of the economy. They're the party of big business. And they're the party of small government. But is that in the interest of Black America today? All right, let's go back to what you got to say, crew. Pauline, you said, I am not listening to the left. I am voting for Biden and Harris. All right, got you. Real Brooklyn, Pauline, I appreciate you, ma'am. Thank you. One of our great elders in the chat. Real Brooklyn, you said, why does folks have to insult folks in order to get their point across? Really? Question intelligence? Wow, bro. Yeah. That's where we are, though. That's where we are. Confetti, you want to respond? When it was time for Trump to help American people, he gave us $10,000. Since Biden has been in office, we have been suffering. I don't know, Confetti, I don't know where you are on your political views in a sense of understanding how the system works. Certain things was going to happen regardless under the president or the vice president. Okay, so certain things were going to happen regardless, folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always interesting to me that people give a president credit or they act as if the president is doing something when they come into office, when you have other institutions of the government that have already put certain things into place, and the president just basically says, okay, this is going to happen. You know, it's like the economy. People say, oh, the economy is because of the president's fault. The economy is not because of the president's fault. You think that the president want to have an economy where there's billions and trillions of dollars in debt? I mean, come on. Or that the economy is up and down, or that people are losing jobs? I mean, come on, let's be for real. Certain things the president cannot do without other people, without other agencies, without other institutions of the government to work hand in hand. So we got to keep that in mind. We got to keep that in mind. And please bring some clarity on this confetti. When did Donald Trump give us $10,000? All right. As the crew was asking, where's the $10,000? I didn't get it. I don't know where the $10,000. Listen. I'm asking because if we didn't get $10,000, like who got $10,000 and for what reason? Just for us to become good Americans? I don't think so. Look, I got to take another pause. Right? I got to take. Look, I don't know where that. We want to turn off the. No, that's not happening. Where does the $10,000 come from, Confetti? Talk to me. All right, look, I got to take another pause. When we come forward, let's continue the conversation on the other side. Also, I got to share with you some of the latest about what's happening with the situation with Jamie Foxx and how Jamie has been under some hot water over the weekend, but I think he will be fine. But it does bring up another part of the conversation about sensitivity. So let's have that discussion up next. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network, talking about the new GOP strategy of trying to attack President Biden through his vice president, putting it out there, folks, that President Biden, a vote for President Biden is essentially will be a vote for President Kamala Harris, as the GOP is just doing it out there, dropping seeds, just putting it out there, saying, "Oh, Biden won't be able to get through the next 4 years if he's reelected." So there has been a lot of discussion saying that President Kamala Harris may become that person in light of this. But we will see if this takes hold, if this is going to be an effective strategy to stop people from voting or to make people feel a certain way about the Democrats, however they want to play it out. But they're putting some effort behind this, as there have been a number of interviews and emails and conversations with top Republican presidential candidates about this. So we've been wondering if you think this is going to be effective in disrupting the vote for the 2024 election. We will have to see. Now, the big conversation that people are talking about in the chat is what one of the our watchers today, Confetti, checked in and said that President Trump gave us $10,000. He gave us some money. Really? This is interesting. All right, so let me just break this down for you, how this money came out. So a lot of this money is because of the pandemic. This wasn't like, oh, here's $10,000. Let's talk about this very quickly. Then we're going to take another pause because I want to get to this other piece. But look, let's look at this. The first round of money came out in March of 2020, $1,200 per income tax filer, right? There was that money. Then there was a $500 per child CARES Act. Again, this is because of the pandemic. There was a $500 per child due to the CARES Act. Then there was a round two of money, December of 2020. That's $600 per income tax filer, right? There was another $600 per child from the CARES Act of 2021. The Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021. Then you got a third round of money in March of 2021, $1,400 per income tax filer. Then there was another $1,400 per child for the American Rescue Plan Act. So money was given, but this all came out of the stimulus. This wasn't like, oh, Trump wanted to be benevolent. Trump just wanted to throw something out there. Here's $10,000. Just for the American people, just because I love you. No, there was money that was attached to helping people, citizens and families, to get through the pandemic, to deal with childcare, to deal with other issues. It wasn't, we got to make sure that if you say they just giving us $10,000, make sure that you give them specifics around that. So we don't want to put out misinformation. And then people will be like, well, where was that? When was that? And let's keep it real. $1,400, folks, for a family of four. $1,400 might be another $500. So you say $2,000 in the short, in a given couple of months. Is that really enough for a family of four living in modern day America? Is that really enough? No, it's not. So again, looking at how this thing playing out, this is all because of the pandemic. That was pandemic money, folks. We could probably lump that in together and say that's pandemic stuff, because that's where that came from. And it really wasn't because, again, it was not out of the president's benevolence that he gave the American people $10,000 apiece. So I just we wanted to clarify that. And I'm very, very grateful that we brought that up. All right, folks. Look, now let's switch gears here, because I know my crew is talking about this, and Confetti, we just can't throw numbers out there, sir. We want you to clarify that. You come a part of the crew with what we always advocate in the chat is that if you're going to bring some numbers, bring some data, bring the receipts as well. All right, folks. Now, look, let's talk a little bit about this situation with Jamie Foxx. Now, over the weekend, Mr. Foxx got into a little bit of a controversy because he had made this innocuous Instagram post about fake friends and those who betray you. He put a post up that said He ran this post with the hashtag of fake friends and fake love on Friday, and it read, "They've killed this dude named Jesus." This is from the Washington Post. He said, "What do you think they'll do to you?" Jamie Foxx posted this, 55 years old. He deleted the post after accusations of anti-Semitism. The news website A Wider Frame, which focuses on Jewish issues, described Jamie Foxx's post as a, quote, horrifically anti-Semitic message to his 16.7 million followers. For some, the use of the word "they" in Foxx's post implied a harmful trope against the Jewish community. He said, "The myth that Jews collectively murdered Jesus, also referred to as deicide, has been used to justify violence against Jews for centuries," according to the Anti-Defamation League, said as part of a report on anti-Semitic myths. Historians as well as Christian leaders have agreed that the claim is baseless. So if the ADL, one of the top Jewish organizations in the country, who has always been very, very aware and cognizant of any type of anti-Semitism, and unfortunately, they have even labeled some Black leaders with being anti-Semitic, even though that's not the case. But in this case, they are proving that Jamie Foxx is not talking about Jewish people when he talked about they. Now, it is a part of our culture. It's a part of our language that we use. People have said it on social media. This is like a Black colloquialism where, you know, we say they, but we're talking about, look at the context of this. And this is the thing about the sensitivity of this. And I think this is why when we have a conversation about the relationship between Jews and Blacks, it cannot be rooted in misinterpretation. You got to look at the facts of what's said, what's written, but you got to look at the facts. Jamie Foxx was simply saying fake friends will betray you, just like fake people that sat at the table with Jesus, Judas and others, will betray you, will backstab you. What does that have anything to do with the Jews or the Jewish community? It has nothing to do with the Jewish people, Jewish community. It is not even putting it out there that Jewish people, the Jews were responsible for the death of Jesus. None of that is in this post. Unfortunately, Jamie Foxx had to make another post where he had to apologize for this situation. And Kenneth, can we pull up his post on that? Where we had to apologize on this situation. Here's what he said. He said, quote, "I want to apologize to the Jewish community," right? "And everyone who was offended by my post. I now know my choice of words have caused offense, and I'm sorry. That was never my intent. To clarify, I was betrayed by a fake friend, and that's what I meant with they, not anything more. I only have love in my heart for everyone. I love and support the Jewish community. My deepest apologies to anyone who was offended." Why would a man have to go through all of that for something that should have been already understood? The sensitivity is too high, folks. And we can't act as if Black folks aren't taken through the mud. People can say all ill manner about about Black people, but we can't say about Jewish people. We can't, and I'm not saying that we should. I'm just making a point that it's not fair. It's not fair that other communities and other folks can expect an apology, but who apologizes to Black people when we are wrongly accused? Who apologizes to Black people when we are talked about and maligned in social media and in other spaces? Nobody says we apologize to the Black community. When was the last time we even heard those words put together from some organization, some celebrity, some influencer, anyone of prominence and power? We apologize to the Black community. Come on. And I think sometimes this is part of the reason why these relationships don't make any type of headway, It's because there's this double standard that's in place that everybody else can get an apology. But when this comes down to Black people getting an apology, we get nothing, Nathan, nil, zilch, zero. We don't get no apology. We just move on. How many Karens in this country have ruined people's lives, even though some of these Black men may have gotten out of prison, but they got a record because of a white woman who lied? Do you see a white woman putting on her social media, I apologize to that Black man for trying to ruin his life? And how slow you got to be when that man put a hashtag fake friends? How do you get to that conclusion? See, that's the, what's the word I'm looking for, crew? Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's like when somebody, they always think of somebody talking about them. Come on, man. Like that's not fair. That's not fair. You see the context in which that man posted that. It's pretty obvious. I think you can connect the dots. It's context clues. He said that they betrayed it, that nobody is above betrayal. That's essentially what Jamie Foxx said. No one, if they portray the Son of God, then none of us are above being betrayed. Nobody is above betrayal if it happened to Jesus. It's a very simple thing. It's a very simple thing, but the sensitivity around it. And it creates, and for that website, I'm gonna go to that website, a wider frame which focuses on Jewish issues. You should be ashamed of yourself for putting that out there as if Jamie Foxx did something wrong. And you trying to create drama and controversy around another powerful black man to get him out of the way. You should be ashamed of yourself. I'm not putting this on all the Jewish people, but there are some folks within those spaces that just love to whip up frenzy and create controversy when it comes to our Black celebrities, our Black artists, our Black creatives. You want to check us at every damn time and every little moment and every little post. Oh, you talking about us, you talking about us. But how many of you talk about Black folk in a disparaging way? You laugh at our pain. And then you walk away and you don't give no apology. Nothing. There's no consequence. Black people, we take the hit every day, and guess what? There's no consequence for anybody who talks bad about Black people in America. We just got to take the hit. As people say, why don't y'all just move on? As if the hatred of us has moved on, as if the hatred of us has stopped. How are we going to move on when it still happened? You know when we can move on? When it's not happening anymore. So I stand with my brother. It's unfortunate that he had to give an apology. But if you look at the post, and more importantly, look at the history of what happened to Jesus. I'm talking about the real history. You wouldn't be in your bag and your feelings about that. We're not going to let you keep beating up on us. And I'm talking to those who want to create controversy within the Jewish community, like this website. You just can't keep doing that and then expecting that. No. Come on, man. Please. We all have been, and I'm saying we as Black folks, Jewish people, have undergone pain. But Black folks, man, we've been going through this for over 450 years in this country. And we still are confronted with this, and no one speaks. And I'm not going to say no one. I'm just saying that it's the moment somebody says something about a very serious relationship. There is a very serious relationship between Black people and Jewish people in this country. If you look at the history from our time being enslaved and in chattel slavery, Look at the real history. Look at the real history of Jewish people and Black people and how that history has intertwined over these past couple of 100 years. And you will see it's a very, very serious, highly sensitive relationship that is still being exploited to this very moment. But the one thing for sure is that we are not your slaves. This is not to Jewish people. It's not to any. This is to every. Black folks are no longer slaves. There's a new day and time. And at a point, this got to end, man. This got to end. All right, let me go here. Lori Parks, you checked in and said, flip the script, stop apologizing. Flip the script, stop apologizing. Let me see what else we got to say about this. Who else going to check in? Pauline, you said right, Farajii. I appreciate that, Pauline. Denolis Polite, you checked in and said it's a divide and conquer tactic. Oh yeah, no problem. Denolis Polite, absolutely. Absolutely. Rodney Theoc, you said never. Right. Deborah Denard, you checked in. You said we don't come together like other communities. There's always, there will always be some of us somewhere pretending that we are overreacting. Deidre, thank you. I appreciate that, Deborah. Deidre Hall, you checked in and said, right, this is so stupid to me. Rain Vuitton, you said it's to keep you confused about who you are. We are the true Jews, that chosen Israelite, period. Okay, appreciate you, Rain. Sue Knight, you checked in and said, never an apology. Lana, my sister, you say, come on, Farajii. Damon, you checked in and said, ridiculous. It's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. We're not doing this today, y'all. Who else checked in? Who else checked in here? Mike Deasy, you say they own all of entertainment and the music industry, but we still have drug death music. I'll drop the mic right there. Mike Deasy, yeah. Come on, man. I mean, come on. Come on. Robin, my sister, you checked in and said, I always say to be Black in America, we are so hated by everyone just because of our Blackness. Why do we always have to apologize? And why are we so hated around the world? Right. Robin, you're bringing up some great questions. We are hated. We are hated. That's another question we don't got enough time to cover. But you are absolutely right. Why do we always have to apologize? We're the most oppressed in the country, but we are apologizing. Who apologized for our condition? Because everybody played a role in taking a Black man and woman down in America. So who apologizing for that? Pretty Brown Mimi 726, you said, Farajii, why did Jennifer Aniston chime in on Jamie's comment? She's of Greek descent. And she got eaten up in the process too. And she had to turn off her Instagram comments, Mimi, you know what I mean? Because you coming sideways. That man is not even thinking about that. See, that's what I'm saying. That's the problem. As we wrap up on this, we're going to take a quick pause. But that's the problem. They want to create controversy and stir up some stuff. And it's like, for what? Who's going to benefit from that? You know what I'm saying? Who's going to benefit from that? So I understand how the business goes. He got to make a statement. I don't think he should have. Like, man, I'm not talking about y'all. Look at the context clues. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about those who betray you, those who say they're your friends, but really are your enemies. I'm talking about those who backstab you, those who sit at your table, eat good, and then talk behind your back when you were feeding them. Real simple idea to me, real simple thing. But to make this another controversy, you're grasping for straws. And even more so, that is very, very evil to try to put something in there so that way you could create controversy and whip it up so the people can get confused, Black folks and white people and stuff, man. Instead of doing that, calling out anti-Semitism, why don't you call out anti-blackness? Oh, because you don't give a damn. Nobody cares about being anti-black, but the moment we anti-Semitic, the moment we anti-this and anti-blackness is the only thing that you can be. But everything else is, it's a violation of our moral sensibilities. Get the hell out of here, man. Look, we're gonna take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's shift gears from Jamie Foxx and that manufactured controversy to hearing our doctor, Dr. Bridget MD, for this week's Reclaim Your Wellness. Stay with us, folks. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Look, I'm following so many of you checking in and saying, what's going on with Montgomery, that Riverside melee that was down there? We're getting some information. Generally, let me just share with you some of the behind the scenes thinking here. When a situation kicks off, I personally like to give it a day or two to see how everything kind of plays out, making sure that we can get as much of the facts and the much details as possible before we have a full-blown conversation, just because we want to make sure that we're shaping the discussion in the right way. So I got you, Lana. I appreciate you, sister, for putting it out there and say, hey, Farajii, what's going on with Montgomery? We are keeping our eyes on this situation, but maybe tomorrow or either Wednesday, we can kind of have a conversation about it, because I know it's still fresh, and there's a lot of moving parts, and so we want to get as many details as possible. But trust and believe, we will certainly address that, like I said, either tomorrow or Wednesday. But I appreciate y'all, crew, for definitely pushing that to the front of the agenda. All right, folks, it is Monday. It is our opportunity for us to get a little bit of insight about our health and wellness. It is time for our Reclaim Your Wellness segment with Dr. Bridget, MD. All right, Dr. Bridget. First thing, where you at? You acting like you look like you in a sunny island or something. Where are you?
So I took a break after the big launch for the book last week, and I'm in Jamaica. Of course.
Let me just tell you though, I can't get mad at you. You know why? Because you still say, Farajii, I'm gonna do the show.
100%.
Most people be like, I'm in Jamaica, dog.
No. This is
like I'm on vacation, bro.
No, I'm always happy to do this. And it's important that we share this information. So I'm glad that you have me on here.
Oh, absolutely. Well, congratulations on the book launch. And yes, get some much needed rest, Doc. You need it. Let's talk a little bit about getting rest and mental health and wellness and all of the good stuff, because this is a celebration. 50 years of hip hop this year. This is a major celebration. But the conversation has got to be a little different for this 50-year anniversary.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing it. And Men's Health, they did a piece around mental health. They invited, which I thought was pretty interesting. They invited individuals like Nick Cannon, Dougie Fresh, and some of the old school hip hop legends and pioneers to be a part of the conversation about men's health. Yes. And of mental health, really. But then their latest magazine cover features some of the 6 most dynamic MCs in the game: Busta Rhymes, 50 Cent, Common, Ludacris. Who else was on there? Who else I got? I got to pull it up in there. King Keenan, I want you to find that cover for us, for me, bro. With Men's Health, and you got those hip hop pioneers on there. Yeah, but Doc, what does this mean?
Yeah, Wiz Khalifa was on there.
Wiz Khalifa, yep.
Yeah, I think you said all of them. And so I think that's exciting. First of all, 50 years of hip hop, that in itself is, I see celebrations all over the country, and it is something that is so much our own and something that has really evolved culturally and so important to how we experience our culture that I think it's important to celebrate it. And the fact that they took this moment to say, how can we incorporate this with health? They really started looking at these 6 really, as you said, dynamic MCs that share not just that they're in shape, not just that they work out, but how they took their health, their wellness as a priority. And I think that's really the key. That's really important. So as you said, they looked at Busta Rhymes, Method Man, 50 Cent, Common, Wiz Khalifa, and Ludacris, and then shared a little bit about their background and how they made health really important.
There we go. I know this is something for the ladies, Doc.
A little bit. Right?
I know. Look at it first. Let's Keenan, post this. Let's bring it. Make it bigger, bro. Look at this. These, and I want y'all to think. Yeah, I know that sometimes people say, "Oh, hip hop is a young man's sport." These guys. We talk about Jay-Z a lot, how he has transcended the culture in a big way and kind of pushed the envelope on the being relevant and the longevity. But these guys, Busta, Meth, 50, Luda, Common, Wiz, that's part of the larger conversation about longevity.
Yes.
And these are Black men, regardless of which y'all, if you love the music, you don't love the music at this point. But these guys are pioneers in a big, big way.
Yes.
Pioneers. So I was like very excited, Doc, to see that you had these brothers on the cover of Men's Health, representing the culture and representing how we can all be better versions of ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. And, this is why I'm excited that Men's Health is doing it in particular, right? Because their audience, of course, is a male audience, but it's about 60% men, 40% women. And women really have a strong voice in how we make health decisions in our home. but it also says a lot about the health of Black men in this country is the worst of all people in the United States. That Black men die more than 7 years earlier than do U.S. women of all races. And they die younger than any other group except for Native Americans. So it's really important that we not highlight, a lot of men will focus just on working out and getting physically fit, which is what you're physically seeing on the cover. But what they share in this article is how they made their health the priority. How Busta Rhymes was really at a point where he was eating himself to death, drinking, was in a car accident. And he was up to 340 pounds. And how he decided to change his life and make fitness as well as just mental wellness important. And he's 51 this year, I think. Method Man is actually, I think, 52. And he talks about his depression and PTSD and his insomnia. Instead of, fighting it, he actually used the fact that he couldn't sleep as his opportunity to do workout and then to actually start balancing his body. So I think it's really important how they focus, not just on hitting the gym, but how they made it a part of their mental and physical wellness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, we want to take a quick pause. When we come forward, more conversation with Dr. Bridget MD. Folks, we're talking about hip hop getting healthy 50 years later. You got 6 dynamic Black men on the cover of Men's Health talking about everything from mental health to eating right and a whole lot more. Folks, we want you to join us in the conversation and get your take on this as we look at hip hop and how can the culture happen, really get into a better space, Dr. Bridget, where it's no longer promoting certain self-destructive habits, but could be the perfect vehicle to get us all healthy. Folks, we want you to join us. We're streaming live on YouTube on the Roland Martin's page, and of course on Facebook, and of course on blackstarnetwork.com and Amazon News. Stay with us. The conversation continues on the other side right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay Black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in Black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. We are in the midst of our weekly conversation that we check in with Dr. Bridget Cole-Williams, MD. She is a family physician, cannabis expert, author, entrepreneur, and so many other great things. But she's talking to us about hip hop getting healthy after 50 years, folks. Here is a genre of music. Here's a culture that we all have grown up in. We all are familiar with. But to see this culture through the light or through the lens of health and wellness. Take a look at this video. This little promo video for these 6 black men who serve as the look of black men. You got Method Man, 50 Cent, Busta Rhymes, Common, Wiz Khalifa, Ludacris. Look at that. Look at that. Brothers celebrating who they are, how they've come along on their mental and physical health journey. And we're talking about this. We're talking about this. Keenan, show the final. This is the video, but here's the final cover, folks, for those who have never seen the cover for Men's Health. That's out on Stands Down, folks. Take a look. Look at this. Hip hop is 50.
Yes.
And you know what, Dr. Bridget, the reason I love it is because it's a confirmation of life. It affirms that through all of the madness, right? Just like the culture of the music, the culture and the music, you go through all of this stuff, right? To come out after 50-year period, you get to this place where you can feel renewed. You can feel like a different human being. Yeah. And if you know the story, like the personal stories of each one of these artists, they've had serious struggles. And so it's like, boom, look at us. A lot of these artists are touching 50 years old themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so now that puts the conversation in a different space because, for those of us who grew up on hip hop, I'm in my 40s and everything. Like, if you got your favorite artist, and I know some guys, they try to act like they don't have no favorite hip hop artist. Stop playing, man. Stop playing. Like, I still look at Jay. They still inspire me as a black man, right? So if you have your favorite artist saying, look, man, we need to have a conversation about mental health. We need to have a conversation about eating good and eating right. Busta Rhymes lost over 100, I think I read that, over 115 pounds.
He was over 300 pounds. So yes.
God.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's not about popping bottles and eating crap all day. Like, I think one of the underlying messages for this particular celebration is that if you want to live, you're going to have to eat to live. You're going to have to take care of yourself. Like, as much as the culture is really, the culture is our mind, our body, and our spirit. That is the essence of the culture. It's not just the music. It's not just the beats. It's not just the lyrics. It's the mind, body, and the spirit of the artists and the people. If we are not healthy, the culture is not going to be healthy, Doc.
Absolutely. And we need to have these black men as the leaders in our home, in our culture, in our work. Like, we need to have the space for them. The fact of the matter is, black men are more likely than any other segment of the population to have undiagnosed or poorly managed chronic conditions. So magazine that's their main readership is about 25 to 34 years old. What you're seeing is not just the people that have done well and obviously have made changes in their life, but what you're looking at is black don't crack, period. Men, women, black doesn't crack, right? As long as we take care of ourselves. And we have a long history earlier, prior to this of losing so many people, right? Easy E, Big Pun, Nate Dogg from a stroke, heart disease, RBD. Fife Dog had diabetes and kidney failure, and so we had this kind of underlying story of how we have these great artists and we lose them. And so what this article does, what this cover shows you, is that things can get better after 50. Like you said, the majority, I think the youngest person up there is Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah,
35.
I think so.
But everybody else is 45 and over. I think between 45 and 52 years old.
Wait a minute, hold on. Doc. How old is Wiz?
Wiz is 35, I think.
Damn.
You can't say that. You can't say
Hey, I'm serious. Damn. You know who else? And y'all about to be in agreement. You know who else probably could have been on the cover? Maybe they asked him and he couldn't make it. Gucci Mane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because the way he made his transformation, he was Butterball Gucci. Then he became this bodybuilder Gucci. He went to and look, and I think part of it. This is the other part of it too. This is like behind the scenes stuff that I don't think that we talk about. When you live your life having a good woman, right? Because all of these guys, I think out of the 6, I think probably like 4 or 5 out of these guys are in committed relationships. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, like learning how to center yourself, because I think, Dr. Bridget, we have a tendency to believe that if you have a certain gift or talent, that's going to be enough. That's going to sustain you, right? But it still speaks volumes about the fact that you gotta have some rootedness in your life, whether it's coming from your relationship, whether it's coming from your home life. I remember when Busta Rhymes just early, like a few weeks ago, he got a Lifetime Achievement Award. I think it was the VP Awards.
Yeah.
And he pointed out he has 6 children. And he also pointed out that 5 of his 6 children was at the award show watching him get this Lifetime Achievement.
Yeah.
And when he made his speech, he was just talking about doing this for the children, for his sons and his daughters. I listened to Jada Kiss the other week, a couple of weeks ago. He performed out here in LA. And he said this, he said, we're celebrating 50 years of hip hop. He said, y'all have put my children through college. Yeah. And I'm forever grateful.
Being able to actually excel. And don't get me wrong, all these people are incredibly talented, but they've been given an opportunity to excel. And we have found a place that did not exist prior to that. And so it is definitely a time to celebrate. And your comment about them being, having balance, having, whether that's that committed relationship or balance, safe, comfortable life that is not, it doesn't always have to be so crazy and wild. We're coming out of, or probably still in a, Kevin Samuels, kind of themed idea that the 1%er, the man that's making that level of money, should be with every woman on the planet and be all over the place and living this wild lifestyle. And how did that work for him? Because he was living that wild lifestyle, right? And so I do think you make a point that health is way beyond just hitting the gym, and it goes beyond just what you're eating. But in the article, Common even says, because he's part of the Actors Guild, the Screen Actors Guild, he has health insurance. And without that health insurance, how well would his own health be? Right. And so there's a lot of, on the surface, it's a great celebration of some great looking men, but deeper, it says a lot about discipline and balance and making your mental as much a priority as your physical. And so it's a great article. It's definitely worth taking a look at. And hopefully the young people that are, getting this magazine, and this is kind of where they get their information about taking care of their bodies, that they, pay attention and see that, 50 is not that old.
No, it's not. I remember back in the day, it seemed old. I ain't gonna hold you though, Doc. Back in the day, 50 seemed like, boy, you must have been walking with Jesus and Moses. You remember? If you grew up in like the 80s, right, as a child, the 50-year-old of the 80s, we were like, whoa, boy, 50, whoa, God. Like, I hope I live to see that age. Now I'm here. It's like, wow. It's a different, what is that, Doc? I guess I want to get your take on that, because the standards of beauty and it seems like we're in a different space with our health, right? Our physical health. We're seeing older people look and feel and experience youth for a much longer period. And so I would love to get your take on that. I'd love to get your take on it. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's the longevity. I think there's more delayed gratification. I think people, because we have better opportunities in health and to stay healthier longer, that people have more delayed gratification. People have children a little bit later quite often. We have more opportunity for education. And so if you're putting off your some aspects of your life to be able to have delayed gratification, to be able to get your life started a little bit later in life because of your education, then your time to be you and to have time to really celebrate yourself is also put off a little bit later, right? And so with better health, with better, hopefully, incomes, with more opportunities to travel this world, we didn't always have those opportunities. I think that we are actually looking and feeling and doing better for ourselves. Keep in mind, the Golden Girls, I believe that from the 80s, those women were basically depicting women in their maybe mid 50s, I think. I don't even know if they were that much even into their 60s, but we saw them as, these were the Golden Girls. These are the golden age for them. 50 is just getting started for many of us now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Look, we're going to take another pause. When we come back, we got some crew members, Doc, that got some shit that want to share their thoughts on this as we're talking about hip hop getting healthy. 50 years of hip hop, but more importantly, can we create and usher in a period of time where we are actively advocating for people to get healthy? It can be possible, and the music can play a huge role in that. Folks, stay with us. The conversation continues with Dr. Bridget MD on the other side, right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We have been checking in with our resident family physician, Dr. Bridget Williams, MD, as she talks about hip-hop getting healthy, folks. This conversation is inspired by Men's Health, putting some of the most prolific artists, our hip-hop artists, on the cover for this for their edition to talk about health and wellness and what these 6 Black men have done to get to a better health space, a healthier lifestyle, even though they are part of an industry that's full of excess, an industry that will encourage you to sometimes do the wrong thing. These brothers are saying, you know what, we're going to use this power and change our personal lives. And there's the hope that they're going to change the lives of their listeners, to those who are fans of their work. And so it's been a very, very insightful conversation with Dr. Bridget, MD. Doc, I want to share with you what some of our culture crew members are checking in and saying this. First thing, the ladies are loving the Black men, which I figured. Dr. Bridget, these are good-looking brothers, not bad. Right. You know what I'm saying? I know. I see you, Mimi. I see you. Who else has been loving these brothers? I don't want to call these sisters out. They're going to be mad at me. Then they won't come back to watch the show. But they've been loving them. Robin checked in and said, now I know what I can do at 60. I started going back to the gym last week. I love it. That magazine cover is fire. Absolutely. Now, Tia said, teaching us how to handle stress is a key skill for us to master. And I think that is one of the, when I read some of the stories, like, that's one of the things, like the business of being an artist at that level, Dr. Bridget, you know it, I know, we work in these spaces, it's a lot of stress. You got to be on and you got to perform at the highest level. Yes. And I think that's been one of the driving forces for why these brothers decided to take a different step with their health and well-being. But the other thing is, and this is something that my brother Cordell McMillan, Cordell, you checked in and said, wow, so if Common didn't go into acting, he wouldn't have health insurance. I don't remember who said this. You may have remember who said this, Doc. And I appreciate you, Cordell, for bringing this up. Mm-hmm. But somebody said, and they were in the industry, they was like an artist. They said, there is no retirement in hip hop. There is no health insurance. Like we go out there, they perform, they put their minds to work, but they put their bodies in great, and under a lot of stress and strain. You're traveling all over the place. You're meeting, you're going through time zones, you're eating, you're getting, you can eat anywhere you want to eat and all of these things. But this is not like a normal job where you can sign up, you get a 401k plan, you get to sign up for some health insurance. Like, this is all on you. So it takes a different level of discipline to take your own health and wellness into your own hands, because it's so easy for us to sign up and say, okay, here's the paperwork, I can just go to this doctor. But when you got to take those steps on your own, that's a different level of commitment. Doc, talk to us about that. Why is that important for us to know?
So I think, as you're saying, it's really easy when there's so many demands around you to not even pay attention to healthcare, particularly if you can afford to just pay out of pocket. but it doesn't mean that you're going regularly and taking care of things before they happen. You need to have preventive care if you want to have longevity. And so the fact that this came up as a part of this article, I thought was really, really important, that we make a point of preventive health. We have a great habit of like for a lot of, Black Americans, healthcare is going to the ER when something goes wrong. They don't even consider the primary care or what have you. You have to be able to be in a space where you take care of things before they actually get to a point where you actually might need medication or what have you. And so I think they make an excellent point here about what health really looks like and what it looks like when you prioritize it. And one of the things I highly suggest with people is to start making a list of the things that they need to do to be in a healthier place, mentally, physically. I always start with sleep. That if you do not have high quality sleep, you will not have, your body doesn't have an opportunity to recalibrate, to process. Sleep is not just resting until the next day, but it's actually processing what your brain needs to do to actually combat the next day. So I always start with sleep, but make a list of days that you can exercise. You might not be able to start out with daily exercise or even, several times a week, but you can go through your calendar and start with one day and putting it on the calendar and making sure that, with extravagance, with opportunity, people have these high, rich, heavy meals. If you're really talking about your health, you should be scaling back not only the richness of your food, but also the amount. And so, there's nothing wrong with a light salad. And when I say light salad, all salads are not made equal. Okay.
Come on.
And I say that because I've seen this with my patients where I say, so how's your diet going? They say, oh, I had a salad, but what have you. And then I see a picture of it. And the picture is either all pink because it's Thousand Island dressing, or all white, or all yellow. I mean, you don't even see anything green, okay? And it's all yellow from just heavy cheese. And so, and that just, it's not always intentional. Sometimes it does take a knowledge base that all salads are not created equal, and that there's a way to feel full, eat a little bit slower, drink plenty of water, and that you don't necessarily, and what does full feel like? For a lot, if you pay attention to the satiety center in your brain, it'll tell you to stop eating typically after 20, 30 minutes. If you're waiting for your stomach to expand until you feel heavy and full, that's full for a lot of people. So it's retraining your body. I mean, those are just, a couple examples of, if you want to make health your priority, where to start.
And that's the part of the conversation, because going back to this hip hop theme, the discussion about health and wellness generally, we're not having it early enough within the community, Dr. Bridget. You know it better than anybody else.
Yeah.
That a lot of this conversation about eating right, sleeping, because there's a culture that prides itself on getting no sleep, which I think is absolutely insane. But I understand where it comes from, because when you're young, you're like, oh, sleep is nothing. I don't really need sleep. I can just live off of Red Bull and life. You know what I'm saying? Red Bull and laughter. I'm good.
Right.
So, but the conversation about one's health and one's wellness and making sure one gets the proper care that they need, it doesn't happen until you start hitting 30 and 40. Now, we know that there are numerous cases. I'm talking about from everything from athletes to those who dedicate their time, that is no guarantee that this life is not guaranteed, that there's no guarantee that you're going to live to be 70, 80, 90, 100 years old. No. So how do we have that conversation? Like now that you got these brothers on the cover, but how do we have a conversation and say, look, start worrying about your health as early as 18, 19, 21, start going to the doctors, getting regular checkups. How do we have that conversation from that perspective?
Well, I think first of all is having an understanding of what does longevity look like for you, because there are so many young people that or people that I've met that are in their 40s and 50s, and they said, I don't think I would have ever gotten to this age. If you don't have a vision of yourself getting older, then why would you make plans to get older? If you don't think you're going to get beyond 20 something, then you're not going to make it a priority. So people need to first have a vision of how do they envision their life plan? And if you have a life plan, then you should start preparing for it. So I think that you first have to understand it. Also, people that read gain knowledge also have better longevity. And so taking the time to whether, for some people it's a book club, which is great because it's basically just accountability, being able to have those conversations. But if it's not a book club, there's all sorts of different opportunities to start taking a little time from the toxicity of social media and your phone and the television and actually gain some knowledge about yourself, about your wellness, about your plans for life, and start reading again. Because I always say people don't read, right? Even if it's overwhelming, there are plenty of audio apps, but start taking in information differently so that you're influenced by things that might actually help you instead of hurt you.
I love that point you just made. I love it. That those of us who read, we actually can live healthier because you're gaining more knowledge on how to do it.
Yes. And
that is huge. I think that could be applied to anything, like just in terms of your own personal development, Doc, where, like I'm always kind of reading about emotions, right? And the power of emotions and being quote unquote emotionally intelligent and emotionally mature, right? Understanding these things, because as I'm reading these things, I'm thinking about it. I'm reading this information on the outside of me, but I'm thinking about how it impacts me on the inside within. So just looking at that. So that really resonated with me, that the more knowledge that you gain, the chances of you living a longer, more fulfilling life is really right there in the palm of your hands. Look, I got to take another pause when we come forward. More with Dr. Bridget. And of course, we got something for you for Trends, Post, and Doing the Most. Stay with us, folks. A lot left to get to on the final few minutes of today's edition of The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. We've been checking in with Dr. Bridget Cole Williams, MD, family physician, cannabis expert, author, entrepreneur, talking to us about hip hop getting healthy after 50 years. Doc, I want to kind of get your take on this. I mean, you dropping some jewels today. Very simple things. This is why I enjoy talking to you, because you give us very simple recommendations on things that we can institute in our lives right now. Doesn't take a lot of extra people, a lot of time. Small things, reading, going outside, doing the things that, just the little things that change your life. Because here's what I've learned about human behavior in my study of it so far, Doc, that people do not make changes dramatically. We do not like dramatic changes in life. We actually don't like that. A lot of us, we rather make small incremental steps versus just making this broad, dramatic step in changing our lives. So it has to be kind of like worked into a routine, which I truly appreciate. What do you say, Doc, that we are at this place? Should this message of men's health, women's health, right? Because even some of the ladies of hip hop nowadays are having different conversations, even, and I'm saying not even just some of the pioneers, but artists like Cardi B and others, they're talking about everything from motherhood to women's issues to reproductive rights and everything. How do you think this should play out into the music? Should the music get older with these artists as they talk about life? Should it play out like that? Because I don't know if you could rap like, yeah, son, I'm almost got my AARP membership card today. I mean, how do you convey that on a mass scale? All of these folks have platforms, and I'm thinking millions of Black children in particular, millions of Black people can really gain from an artist coming into a newfound understanding of their health and mental and health and wellness.
Yes.
So should that be incorporated in the music now?
Well, okay, so to assume that as these men get older, that yes, the music should mature, but it doesn't. The music doesn't get older. It does mature though, and that maturity is attractive, and that maturity is sexy. Like it's not necessarily, oh, I got the AARP card, but they're having better lives and experiences. And when they used to talk about all the women in the cars and whatever, a lot of them were starting out, they didn't have a car. This is just what they talk about. But now they're in a place where they can actually share experiences and share cultural experiences that are relevant and significant and sexy and engaging. And no, they don't have to turn into the Golden Girls to do it. I think that's part of the misconception, that clearly as these men of age, they're not losing a step. Like young people need to, they think youth is golden, and they're clearly showing that there's a lot more life to live. And so I think another aspect of this is that if these artists are influential to you, then look up a lot of times whether it's this article or other articles or information that's out there, learn their daily schedule, in the sense of, do they wake up with exercising, doing yoga? Like, learn the tricks of success. Learn the tricks of longevity from the people that you admire. And that's another way of engaging new activities that can help you in your wellness as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Davey Floater, you said, bruh, Farajii, listen to Nas. This wouldn't be a question. LOL, he's still dropping. And yes, it's his maturing with him. I listen to Nas. I love King Disease 1, 2, and 3, Davey. I think that you're absolutely right. But Nas is not he's a legend, but he's not the go-to guy of this generation. And that's the point that I'm making. And I'm saying, as a collective, as a culture, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got certain artists, sure, we can go to Common and all of that. But if you're still talking about drinking, smoking, having unprotected sex. You know what I'm saying? You still in the video popping bottles and eating everything and all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like the messages get lost in all of that, right? And your eyes are seeing one thing, but you're trying to catch up to your ears and all of that. So the messages get lost. So that's what I'm saying. Like in mass, like I listen to Jay-Z, he talks about it. You know what I mean? Like he might say no pork on the fork, and he talking about living a vegan life or eating a certain way. But again, is that going to connect to the next generation of young Black people that are coming up in the street? So I
think it does connect with them. I
don't
think that, people start by listening to the beat and they start by admiring the artist. And then you get to what the lyrics are sharing. And I think young people, older people like intelligent lyrics, right? Like if you're attracted to, just simplicity and a lack of care or integrity in what they're sharing, then maybe that's not for you. But I think people, as hip hop has evolved, what you see is, I think it started out being with a message. I think we continue to evolve into strong messages. There are definitely some aspects of it that the message is not helpful to anybody. Right.
Facts.
But a message of whether it's political, educational, growth, business, like if you really look at the vast amount of what rap culture, hip hop culture is offered, there's a lot of strong, powerful messages that can be really motivating. It's just that it's the flashiness that gets the most attention, but the real messages are still out there for us.
Bridget, you still with us?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. You're absolutely right. I thought I had you drop out. All right, Doc. So we're seeing this, and I truly appreciate you for kind of giving us some understanding. And you're absolutely right. The message can get lost if it's not supported with other things, and I think that's the big thing. But big shout out to all of these artists that are doing some really, really phenomenal things, changing the conversation. Again, I mentioned at the top of the segment, Doc, that Men's Health had another discussion with Nick Cannon, Dougie Fresh, and a few other pioneers about their mental health struggles. So a lot of this is interesting. And one of the things that it said in that conversation when I was reading the article, it's more than just putting your feelings to words and putting those words to a beat. Yes, that is one form of therapy, but it's a different level of advocacy and being active and taking hold of it when you're not just writing and repeating it, but you're also doing something about it, that you're going to a therapist, that you're talking it over with someone, that you are surrounded by supportive family and friends throughout the struggle. Like there's some things that you need to do outside of just talking about it on wax. There's some other things that needs to be done. Dr. Bridget, I appreciate you. Keep enjoying your vacation in sunny Jamaica. Is it sunny today or no?
It's always a little tropical rain, and then the sun comes back out.
True. So I appreciate you. Again, congratulations on volume 2 of your book. And I know that it's doing really well. And we look forward to reconnecting with you next week.
Absolutely. It's #1 bestseller. Get it on Amazon.
Dr. Bridget Cole-Williams, MD, folks. Thank you so much, Dr. Bridget. We appreciate you. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, folks. Very quickly, for something that's trending right now, one is that Cardi B will not be charged. Speaking of hip hop, Cardi B, remember that mic throwing incident? If you don't know, maybe like a week or so ago, she was performing. Somebody threw some water on the hip hop artist, and she just turned around and threw a mic right into the crowd because that was her natural response. Somebody threw a water from one direction, you're going to throw whatever's in your hand right back. But it seems like the Las Vegas police, there it is. There's a little video. Somebody, there's the person throwing the water, and boom. Well, the Las Vegas police has made it known today that they will not be charging Cardi B with any type of crime. And so she's going to walk away from that incident, even though there was another person that was standing next to the person that threw the water that said, that microphone hit me. And they have actually filed some sort of lawsuit against the artist, but we will see how that will play out. But as of right now, no charges will be levied against Cardi B. Now, the other funny part about this story, the mic that she used to throw at the person is now available for auction. I just saw this. It's on eBay. Guess how much the mic goes for? It was a $1,000 mic. It's now up for auction for $92,200 because, yeah, because Cardi B put her hands on it. Damn. She put a hand on a mic and it's $92,000. What? It's crazy. So we will see that. Also in the hip hop world, something else is coming up, which is Tory Lanez, who has been responsible and charged for shooting hip hop artist Megan Thee Stallion. He has been sentenced today. We're watching to see how this situation plays out as to whether he's going to be doing any time in prison. But the prosecutor has called for him to serve 13 years in the shooting of the hip hop artist in her foot. And so we're expected to see what that situation, how that turns out. He's already in prison for possession of a firearm and some other charges stemming from that situation. But we will see what is eventually determined by the courts. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Stay tuned. Up next is Roland Martin Unfiltered, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do your due diligence, folks. If you enjoyed the conversation, and big shout out to Nika Nostalgia for being one of our new Bring the Funk fan club members. Thank you, Nika, for checking in. Always supporting us. If you enjoyed the conversation and the platform, make sure you go to blackstarnetwork.com, blackstarnetwork.com, blackstarnetwork.com. We would love to get your support, financial support, and of course, let family and friends know that Black Star Network is here to stay. We want to get your support. We want to continue to have programs that speak directly to you, to the culture, and to what's going on in Black America. And there's only one place, one digital space that you can find all of this information. Great programs like this one, Roland Martin Unfiltered, The Black Table, and so many others dynamic voices. You can all find it here on blackstarnetwork.com. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. Follow me on all social media platforms. You can find me on The Real Farajii on Instagram. We'd love to connect with you, and in other spaces. But make sure that you also follow us at Black Star Network on social media. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong, stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here, exclusively here, only here on the Black Star Network. Take care. Talk to you soon. Peace.